good time to be with Vidal Riley. But first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming out. On behalf of the MF Pro team, Kelly, Mrs. Sarlin, MAMS, KSI, we take such pride in being able to put on an event of this magnitude for our inception event here in London. And what better to do it than to deliver a European title with Vidal and one of our key marquee signings that we made, we invested so much into that move, not from a financial standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint, and how far we go back to be able to do it. And I said today in one of my posts, I said, it's not full circle with Vidal because we're just getting started with Vidal. The world stage is next. There's a lot of great opportunities for him. The team will go back, we'll all discuss it with Vidal, and whatever move makes the most sense is where he goes next.
Vidal, you mentioned during the fight or post-fight that you learned a few things you're going to take with you. What particularly did you learn about today's fight that you think, I'm going to take that one?
Fighting that level of opponent, like you cannot fight someone with 56 fights who's fought for world titles as a two-time European champion and not absorb some of their experience. Just the way he handles the fight, he's a master of consistency, and you can't deter him. We deterred him enough to win how we won, but you can see how he's a seasoned operator, and being in there with someone like that only will rub off on you. So I haven't been in the ring in a year. To come back, get 12 solid rounds against someone of that caliber and dominate it says all you need to know.
Amazing.
He gave CBS some real problems down at Bournemouth, and CBS dominated the co-league and dominated Reaction when it was down in that division. So does that really help you know where you sit?
Yeah, this is what this fight was about. It's a concrete level check. You can get to a world title by missing those level checks. And Masternak is a solid gatekeeper. I know you won't like me to say that because he said he has his own dreams and aspirations, but he is a solid gatekeeper and world title contender. And for me to deal with him in that fashion and be able to handle that fight, it means that we only can go on upwards now.
We're told that William Smith could be next if the IBF sort of have it that way. Is that a fight that you fancy for the world title?
I think William Smith is sorry to jump in there, but William Smith is definitely an option. I think in September, Vidal will be back out.
Okay.
I said before the fight, I predict in 1 year from now, from today, this man will not only be a world champion, he'll be a unified world champion. You've got changing in the guards at cruiserweight. People who know boxing might know that I love a cruiserweight. I've had 14 cruiserweight world champions. This is the next one, right? I promoted 20 fights with Mateus Masternak over the last 14 years. Yeah? I've had him in the World Boxing Super Series, I've had him as European champion. There's one thing about Mateus Masternak, he turns up and he gives you a tough night's work. I went up to him straight after the fight and said, I said to Mateus, he reminds me of you 10 years ago, yeah? And he goes, yeah, he throws more punches. Very honest guy, and it's true. It's an absolute masterclass. He worked out quickly, hurt him to the body, finished with the body, put the second round on, kept on finishing combinations with body shots, bringing the hands out. It was just such a classy performance against someone, when you look back at this generation of cruiserweights, and we are going to the next generation now. Retired again, all the other boys are off. Breeders retired last year. Uzi obviously went up the year before, and so you look at it, and there's a reason we've signed him, because we're owning the cruiserweight division with him. So CBS, brilliant. Next, it's a great fight for him. See the WBC situation.
I like it. Noel, I got a little bit of revenge with Badu Jack, with Noel, but those are all options.
Vidal, I know you probably clearly don't want to talk about your own in particular, but it was 9 years ago this month that you beat CBS in the ABAs.
Wow.
Obviously, a lot's changed since then, but it'd be a strange kind of full circle moment for a world title.
It would be a great fight. Like I said, the storyline of me and him fighting is already made. It's set up, it's already made. People talk about who's the two best cruiserweights in this country right now, and with Willem being a world champion, former world champion, it's always there. You know, I'd look forward to having that fight. I've got a lot of respect for Chris. He is a gentleman, as he calls himself. But one thing's for sure, that would be entertaining, a very entertaining fight. And yeah, the fans will be the true winners if that one happens.
Vidal, I want to ask about your relationship with your father. You spoke earlier in the week about
Yeah, big up my dad, man.
boxing in the living room at a young age, and I've watched sort of you talk about how he pushes you in the gym, and obviously how his career has now molded you. Having them two belts wrapped around you now, can you just talk to me about just your father's influence on you?
I think he might tell you his influence right now. Everyone give him a round of
Yes.
I'll give a quick answer and then my dad was saying, no, the influence is, it's been my whole life. You know what I mean? My whole life, that's how I learned the game, that's how I have the skills I have. Everyone has played a part along the way. This is not discrediting anyone else, but the main source and the consistent source of tutelage has come from my dad. And when you see the footwork and the defense and the corner work, I feel like he's the only person that could get that out of me. Because when he's speaking to me, I can hear my boxing advice, but my father's speaking to me, so you feel more inclined to listen than if someone was just your trainer. But yeah, Dad, I'll let you see it, say it from your
I
perspective.
can't remember what the question was.
Just like your influence, basically, on why we're sitting here today with two belts.
It's been a long road. 22 years. I first took him to the gym, Repton Boxing Gym when he was 6. And I always said to people this time, they'd look at me like I'm crazy. But we worked, I had a vision, I had a lot of faith. And I mean, I'm not living vicariously through my son, but I just couldn't stand back and watch him waste his talent. He got too much talent, son.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And all he needed to do was put the hard work with the talent, and that's where I come in. I'm a taskmaster. I know what it takes. I've seen champions. I used to sit in West Ham Boxing Club and watch the likes of Jimmy Tibbs train Michael Watson. I watched him train Gary Stretch and other fighters. And I always go under the radar. I'm low profile, but I'm an observer and I learn. Everything I've learned, I give it to you.
Yeah, I just have to do it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Yeah.
Derek, Vidal's often said that you're his biggest critic, and obviously you want him to do, as you said there, not waste his talent, achieve as much in the sport as he can. Seeing tonight, what can Vidal do moving forward to make sure that he does win those world titles and unify?
There's things I see. I ain't gonna tell you all that. The enemies are watching. You know. I always pick the bones up. I'm gonna let him enjoy it.
Yeah.
You enjoy that, and then maybe 2 weeks later, pick the bones up.
Hey, I'd be lucky if I get 2 weeks.
I'll give him 2 weeks.
If I get 2
I'll give him 2 weeks.
Vidal, you said at the press conference, you have this association with KSI and that part of your life, and kind of people look at you as, or have looked at you as kind of a YouTuber boxing, or somebody who started YouTube. Obviously, you started very young with your dad at Repton. Do you think performances like tonight, picking up the European and the British style, kind of go a long way to, like, say, silencing the doubters and stuff, something like that?
I mean, if it doesn't, then you're just choosing to be blind, I guess. There's no one else in the world that can sit here with 2 prestigious belts and not be classed as a world-ranked fighter, world-class fighter, despite me having a social media following or not. But I think a lot of those comments just come from a bit of envy and just wish that they had that same sort of blood. But it's felt really good today, just fighting with MF Pro. It's my debut on the MF Pro, seeing JJ in the ring, seeing Amir in the ring, seeing Calais, Nissa, everyone that believe in the journey, you know, and that definitely contributed towards a performance, because you just got a community and a village that you want to perform for. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Thank you. Thanks for being you. I'd just like to add, it's fantastic. I've got a boxer who's got a real massive following. Let people call him the YouTube boxer. It's fantastic. Fantastic. It makes people know, we're going to get every opponent. It's not very easy for me. I just don't look at the fights and forget the belts. It's just a YouTube boxer. You know, it's good, you know, get people in the ring, it's much easier than,
With our first of all, congratulations on a pretty much 10th birthday performance. Is it satisfying kind of, proving the doubters wrong? Because as we've heard in here and out there, people always try to discredit you. You're one of the best boxers in Britain, if not probably the best.
Come on, Izzy. Give it to me. Give it to me.
And I feel like people don't talk about you as one of the best, then you're being discredited. I feel like it's ridiculous when people try to tarnish you as an influencer. So is it satisfying, EB champion, British champion, that kind of shutting them up?
No, of course, it's very satisfying. There's nothing better than proving people wrong. If you're a true competitor, then that will always keep you going. Just to say to someone, see, like, what are you talking about? You're wrong. But I think a large part of me being underestimated was not having the right promotional team. I think now I've got the right promotional team for people to take me seriously and understand what it is that I do in between those ropes. And I think the tide's going to change really quickly with MF Pro.
Vidal over here, Ahmed with Cornea. Was there anything tonight in your performance that you weren't satisfied with?
I have to watch it back, man. I can't lie. Right now, maybe I shouldn't have taken that right hand that made my eye look like this. That's a good answer. But I have to watch it back, man. And then we'll see where the areas of improvement are. We always do that, and that's the only reason I can, have a year out the ring and beat a veteran like Master Knight, because we watched the last performance and we add bits, and yeah, we're always striving for greatness.
And a question to all of you. Other than the IBF eliminator, or the IBF champ, what fight that you want to pursue next? Is there any other belt that you're looking for? Because you just say you see.
you want to talk about WBC maybe, Emma?
Yeah. Noel McKillian, we've expressed some interest in that. He's shown an expressed interest in that fight. The position that we have with the IBF, we don't take lightly and we don't overlook. But the opportunity to fight Noel, and mind you, I'm saying this to you guys, his father and I have had this conversation, Kelly and I have had this conversation. This is the first time Vidal's hearing it, so I'm kind of just saying it here openly and publicly. We absolutely welcome a fight with Noel McKillian. His team and I have been in discussions, and that could be the next step. And we'll have a conversation with Mauricio and make sure everything aligns. The world is at and in Vidal's palm, so it's just a matter of what makes the most sense next.
Vidal, it was more of a sort of a statement rather than a question, but firstly, congratulations. I think you just touched on the fact that trying to prove people wrong. I think people like to complain, they don't like change, they don't like people who change the tides a little bit. You've come in, you've done it differently. You've built your profile as well as doing it from the grassroots. So I guess just as an observer, a fan, a boxing coach, like, their opinions don't matter. You've changed it, you've built a brand, and that's actually something very difficult for people to do overall, as well as in this sport. So I would ignore trying to prove people wrong and just double down on being you, because you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
We'll close on this. I'd just like to say a big thank you to Vidal, because as a 35-year season ticket holder at Tottenham Hotspur, seeing the cockerel up there tonight on the back of your shorts has been the best moment of our season. Thank you all very much. Take one on one.
Thank you.